Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Dave, DLC Dave, and welcome to the 12th episode, the 12th chapter of my Rise of the Phoenix Football Manager 2017 Let's Play, where we take Phoenix Sports from the Isthmian Division 1 North to hopefully the Premier League and beyond. Now then, I think when I last left you, we had just played, Staines on Regen Day. I think I mentioned that I'd come back either for the Isthmian League Cup final if we got there, and the Isthmian Premier League, or the last game of the Isthmian Premier League. Now I decided we did spoilers. We got knocked out of the League Cup, incredibly. We got knocked out by, if you have a look at this, I got knocked out by Corinthian Casuals 2-1, and they were actually in the league below us at the time. So that was a really poor result for us. We just couldn't really get going. I think the injuries we had caught up to us, to be honest. And despite the fact of having a red card and Luke Peacock scoring, it was a very late show from us before we even got going. We were 2-0 down in that and didn't really create a whole lot. But so I also decided that really the end of season game wouldn't be a whole immensely interesting. As you can see, we drew in a big crowd for us. 237 people for a home game is huge considering we only have 70s, 50s mostly. So hopefully that will lead us into a decent some decent tendencies for this next year as we are now in. As you can see, the Vanarama National League South. And we're getting towards teams that I myself have heard of. I've heard of St Albans. I've heard of, well, maybe not heard of Margate, but Whitehawk, I think I've heard of them. Bromley, who we play today. Bath. So yeah, we've got hopefully some tough games this year. I do want the league to be more competitive. I'll show you where we finished last season and how many points we finished on. 123 points. So again, not particularly competitive. We lost like one game against Malden and Tiptree. We drew 6 games. Some games were tight, but I didn't really want to bring you too many of those games because I I I wasn't sure whether they would be tight or whether we'd go and beat them 5 or 6-0, and it was a little bit up in the air. And so I just felt like it would be better to get past this game, get into the next season, and and then to see what transpired. Because as I think I mentioned, we were due to turn professional. That's now been done, and we have gone through, and it's taken a bit of time. But most of these players now are on full-time contracts. The ones that aren't, so there's Chris Sinton who hasn't yet signed a pro deal, and so but when he agreed to sign that deal, he is although he has actually. Oh, is he on a part-time contract? Oh, well. Okay, he's just signed a pro deal, which when he agreed it was part-time, unfortunately, so he's still on a part-time contract. And it's the same situation with Dan Ryder, although unfortunately, it's nothing to do with the fact that he's just signed a deal. He doesn't think that we're strong enough to match his own ambitions, which is a little bit of a worry. He's still here for 2 years, but yeah, it is a bit of a concern. Hopefully, we can persuade him after a bit of time. It does seem odd to me. I would imagine that if it was in real life, that every player at the club would just move over to a full-time contract, and even if it was just for the same terms, for the same length of time, they would move over to that contract. I don't know, but that just seems a little bit silly now that we've got players, some on full-time, some on part-time. The other one is Tom Anderson, and that's because I'm not really interested in extending his contract. I may give him a full-time contract and try and keep him the same length of time till 2020, but I don't see him as being, well, I don't see him being useful beyond those 2 years really, so that's why I've held off. And then the rest of these are youngsters who came in. So we have also had some other big news, as you can see on my little intro screen. Things are happening. They are happening. They have happened. And I'm going to show you a big bit of news that we got right at the end of the season. We are expanding the stadium. No, we're expanding it by a large amount. We started off, I think it was a 1,000 capacity stadium, and we are well, we're more than tripling it. We're going over to a 3,250 capacity stadium. The money has been raised by ourselves, which is really good. It has been carried out to comply with legal requirements. I'm not sure what those are. I don't know if there's a certain number of seats that have to be in there or a certain number of certain size stadium. But we were able to finance it ourselves, which is great. So I've also received funding from the authorities, which I suppose helps. And it's going to take 8 months, so it could be completed in January, as you can see there. There's no roof, unfortunately. I would have liked to. I would have liked a roof, for the night, for the matches under the lights. Could have been fun. And as you can see, while that's being completed, we are going to be ground sharing with Brentford at Griffin Park. Now I'll just show you Griffin Park because that obviously has a large capacity comparatively. That has a capacity of 12,800. So I will be interested to see how many fans we get in for home games because obviously now we have a much bigger stadium that that could hold more fans than we've ever had before, really. So it'll be interesting to see how many fans flock to see us in these home games. So in terms of the squad, look at the transfers. Obviously, we've got a lot of bids as per the usual. Now, a lot of the wage bidding thing has just gone on tying their players down to as long a contract as they possibly could. I wasn't interested in the money that they wanted. I wasn't bothered about that. It was purely a case of Matthew Johnson was a real difficult scenario. He really didn't want to sign for us, and I had to add in a few things that I wouldn't normally do. He's on a big wage for us. He was contracted going to run out at the end of next year, and I wanted him to get to a full-time contract and hopefully come to us. And the same thing happened actually. Hopefully what I hope would happen with Johnson will happen with Paul Herbert. I'm not sure if it saved the no. But Paul Herbert came to me some part of this pre-season because he's been after a move for a long time, despite still being injured. He got a broken leg. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. I did put it on Twitter. I feel like I've been cursed at the moment with Ryder's injury, Anderson's injury, and Dan Ryder's long-term injury, which just isn't the same injury, by the way. He's picked up in the last game of pre-season. He picked up a twisted knee, so he has been back for pre-season. He obviously doing what Dan Ryder does. But Paul Herbert came to me at the middle of pre-season, really saying he's happy to stay at the club now because he feels like the club is at a level that it can actually match his ambitions, which is really good. So we signed him to a new contract, and I'm hoping that a similar thing happens to Matthew Johnson. So basically, he wanted to put a minimum release clause in there of about £10,000, which is just absurd for a player of his quality. So I took that out, and to take that out, I had to add in a big wage. I did get rid of a match highest earner clause because even though we won't be offering big wages, I was still a little concerned. But I never like to add that in, to be honest. I think it's just a recipe for trouble. You keep giving players extra money if someone else comes into the club or someone else gets a contract, he automatically gets a boost. But he is here for 2 years. He has signed on, which is really good. As you can see, he's still improving incredibly. And yeah, the squad's looking really good. And in terms of transfers, now the players that have let go first of all. I released Stephen Arthur Worry and Constantino. Arthur Worry just wasn't really going to get much game time this year. He is wanted by Fylde and Colchester, interesting enough. Colchester in League Two, which would be a good move for him, and Fylde in the Vanarama National. So the league's actually above us, which I would be surprised at, to be honest. But with George Jennison coming into the team, we also got Jimmy Gale who can play there. I did extend Sean Long's contract for 1 more year. I don't see him being too useful beyond that. But with Jimmy Gale, George Anderson, Johnson, and Lane Love, I see those really as being the centre backs for us. So we released Arthur Worry. Constantine again just got no game time last year. I'm not even sure he didn't play a single game for us last season, and he's now signed for Macclesfield. So good luck to him for the future. He's 18 now. Never really developed particularly well from when we signed him. He just yeah. So he's gone. So Dan Ryder came in, was a much better player in that position. Alan Skinner was also then a good backup, and even then Paul Herbert could play there pretty well. Other players who gone out you wouldn't recognise. Michael's gone out. He's someone that spawned at the club but never really never really developed and is just not good enough player to even get towards the first team squad. So we released him, and Chris Henderson has also left the club. Centre back, it wasn't terrible, but he just is never gonna be able to contribute effectively for us. He's gone to Sudbury in the Isthmian Premier Division, so it's probably about his level. I'd say that, or maybe slightly maybe the top of the league below. And yeah, the other player that's gone out is Ken Goodliffe, has gone out on loan to Bognor Regis, again in the league below us. So he's a decent player. He did play a bit in pre-season, but he just needs to work on some things really. He's a useful utility man, but he just lacks a little bit of quality in certain areas. So I'm hoping that a move away will do good for him. He's got good mental stats, and that's what he needs to build on really. Use his mental stats and develop some of his technical attributes and hopefully some of his physical attributes as well. So the one in, as you can see on the screen, is Ryan Williams to play. So this is the one player that I have chosen for this year that will help us. And if you have a look at Ryan Williams, I think he's a real good quality. He's regressing, it seems, at the moment, but he is a really good quality to help support the squad. And the reason why I did this is really to support the right hand side of midfield. As if you look at the players we had, we lost Regan Cole, we lost Ronaldo Boyce, and the only other player we had Paul Herbert, who is a long-term injury long-term injury absentee. We have Tom Anderson, who was also out for a long time with an injury. He was out for 4 months with a broken ankle. And then we had Jay Weaver, who is someone who came in the last regen day, so he's obviously only very, very young, and is decent, but I see him more as a striking option, if I'm going to be honest, than a wide man. He can play out there, and I think he will play out there for quite a bit this season, but I still see him as his future being as a striker. So I just felt like we needed an extra bit of quality, and I had a look round. There were some players I looked at, but they wanted big wages. I didn't really want to do that because that isn't particularly realistic. But I feel like Ryan Williams is is a good player. He will contribute for us. He can also play all across that attacking midfield three, which will be really useful for his versatility. And again, we only get 5 subs again this year. I don't think we get 7 until we get into actual league football. But yeah, I think he'll be a good signing, and he's coming on a backup contract. That's probably what he'll be. I will always endeavour to play our own youth players over and above anyone that gets signed, and that's how I see it. So we are at game day today. We are playing Bromley away from home. So let's get so yeah, as you can see, Bromley away from home. And last season Bromley finished 8th, so they are a decent level side. They so they obviously didn't get too close to promotion or anything, but they are a very solid team. So it'll give us a good indication as to where we'll finish here. And you can see that their top key player is Lewis Hilton. He's not able to play today, fortunately enough, but he looks decent. He'd certainly get into my team, I'm being honest. So I'm hopeful that these are good players, and I think this season is going to be a much bigger ask of the club than in years previously, where both leagues were a little bit of a walkover. So I'm going to pick the team now, and then we're going to get into the game. I'll see you in a second. Okay, guys. So as you can see the team on the screen, I've gone for Jake Bradford in goal. He's actually improving quite a bit now. I did go with Olawale for the majority of last season, but Bradford came in towards the end of the season and did really well. And as you can see, he's improving quite a lot. He's got some. I always look at these top left 3 attributes, and he's improving quite a lot in those areas. So the aerial reach, command of area, communication. I view it to be really important. Obviously, he's got reflexes of handling. I think he's going to be a really good goalkeeper for us. Again, he's someone who's signed up for 3 more years. He's got no interest in him, curiously enough. But I do see him as being a starting keeper for a good while. He's 6'6", so he's obviously got there's no issue with his size or anything like that as a goalkeeper. And I see him being a really useful player for us. Sean Long at right back. George Dennison will start as the season as our starting centre back alongside Matthew Johnson. Gary Espinosa as a left back. Now I'm going to start with Chris Sinton and Luke Peacock in midfield. Again, Sinton is another player who, over this close season, more than anything, he has developed really well. His physical stats are really starting to come on, and he just needs to work on some of his technicals. And I feel like he'll be a really useful player for us. But he's going to start alongside Chris Peacock, Luke Peacock. Sorry, Christensen and Luke Peacock. We do have Matt Good on the bench should we need him. He is still the captain. And he's still a good player for us, and I don't really want to let him go. Well, it may be put at the end of the season, I will do, but he's been a really good player for us. He's been here for the whole ride, and I've signed him to a new deal just until the end of this year. On the right side, we have gone with Ryan Williams for this game. Due to injuries to other players, he did play a lot of pre-season, so I've gone for where I can, probably the most match sharp players, which I feel like is important. Paul Phillips is in attacking midfield. Nathan Smith is on the left. I'll just show you these players so you can get an idea of how they're developing. Paul Phillips obviously progressing a little bit. I'm not sure why, but he generally is developed quite well. Nathan Smith on the left is going really well, and I think I have really high hopes for him on that left hand side. And Alan Skinner will lead the line again. A player who is developing really well. The injury to Ryder probably helped him quite a lot last season. And Ryder is missing just for the first couple of weeks of this game, along with Paul Herbert, who will be probably towards October time before he actually comes back into the first team. So on the bench, we have Matt Good, as I mentioned. Jimmy Gale will be on the bench for us, a really useful player that can play all across the back line. Tom Anderson, again, can play all across the attacking midfield. Jay Weaver, a similar situation, but he also can play up front. And then Ben Beachley is attacking mid. Again, he's a good player. Good useful player, Ben Beachy. So we're going to get into the game now. We are playing Bromley away from home. Let's get into it. Okay, so we can do the team talk now. So we have favourites here apparently. Let's see what we can do. I'm not sure about. I mean, the board again. Something I forgot to mention before we kick off the game and the season is the board want us to win promotion again. It's getting a theme. Reach third on the FA Cup and win the FA Trophy. Obviously, last year we didn't. We reached the fourth on the FA Cup. We won the league, but we didn't win the FA Trophy. We didn't win the Isthmian Premier League, which I was really disappointed in, to be honest. We should have walked it, but I think we just got injuries in a lot of positions, and the players that came in weren't match sharp. They weren't of the same quality, and it just held us. It just held us back really. So we went out of the FA Trophy. I think it was to Torquay, and then we went out of the Isthmian League Cup, which will hopefully never be in again, to Corinthian Casuals, which was probably the worst result of the save so far, to be honest. But now, enough of that. That's enough of the past. Let's get into the future and the present. So here we are. This is Bromley's ground, of course. We're not at Griffin Park yet. That'll be next week. So we'll skip this and we will get into the game. So it's it's an exciting time for the club. Obviously, we turned professional now. Casino expansion is underway. A lot of these players are tied down to 3 or even 4-year contracts, and there's George Dennison, a flick on from a corner. He has scored before. It's not his first goal for the club, but I think it's his second goal. You can see Ryan Williams delivers the corner. It's flicked on by Johnson, one centre back to the other, and Dennison heads home. I do see that those two centre backs is hopefully being the future of the club, despite Matthew Johnson causing a few issues to me, a few contractual headaches. He has signed on, and I'm hoping that he will, in time, see his future here. So we have another chance here, and it falls to Nathan Smith. He couldn't turn around though, but Gary Espinosa absolutely smashes the ball into the back of the net. Let's have a look at this on the replay. So Smith very, very carefully plays it back to Espinosa, takes a touch, and absolutely smashes it into the back of the net from just outside the box. A thunderous strike, and something that we're not really used to seeing from the left back. But now, so we're 2-0 up here, and they put the ball in the box, but we clear it, and Skinner can bring it away. Can he find someone in green? He can. Luke Peacock, he finds Phillips to Skinner, and wow, that happened quick, didn't it? So Skinner thunders it against the bar, and Sean Long, the other fullback, following up, had a pretty simple task of putting the ball into the net. Oh, it was a fantastic save, actually. Although Long almost made a mess of that open goal he had. That would have made it to some kind of blooper reel if that had not gone in. But fortunately it did. And we now lead 3-0 going into half time. A fantastic half. The team. I'm very pleased with the performance. It's been a very, very dominant showing here. And we go into the second half now. Usually a pointless highlight. And 3, 2, 1. No, maybe not. Gabbiadini. Great. I always love that name. And there it goes. It's a little bit out of my countdown. But we get into the second half now. 3-0 up. Now surely they will come at us, you would think. So we get Lee Peacock's conditions a little low. But they have a chance here now. Zamura. Good name. Lawton. Tries to find Dennis, but I think Sinton has that covered. He clears it, not very well, but it does fall to Smith. He passes it to Skinner. Now Espinoza finds Luke Peacock on the left-hand side. Can he get the ball across? He can. And Alan Skinner picks up the rebound. It's poor goalkeeping, really. Peacock just put a hopeful ball across. It was a powerful hit, but the keeper should be holding that, if I'm being honest. And Skinner on his left foot. A few yards out from a tight angle, but he was never going to miss from there on his strong foot. And we're 4-0 now. It's I am surprised, I must say. I mean, I keep saying I'm surprised by this team, and that's because they keep surprising me. I'm going to bring on Matt Good for Luke Peacock just because he is low on fitness. Chris Hinton is also, but I'm probably going to have to leave him out there. I'm also going to bring on Ben Beachy for Paul Phillips just because again he's a little bit low and he's one of the lesser performing players in the attacking areas. Yeah, I am pleased. I'm pleased with what we've shown. And hopefully we will, you never know, we could go on and get another one perhaps. I'll probably make one more change before the end of the game. And here that change is. I'm gonna bring on Jay Weaver. I think I'm gonna take off Ryan Williams. He's had a good debut, 7.5. Obviously didn't get an assist, but he put in the corner that led to the first goal for Dennison. And pretty much everybody, I mean, all the defenders have either contributed to a goal or got an assist or got a goal, which is pretty remarkable. And time is ticking away here. Nothing's really happened since he went to 4-0. It's been a fairly uneventful game, and a 4-0 away win to Bromley, a team that, as I say, finished pretty comfortably in the league for 8th place last year. Gives me real hope that we can again push through this season and get up to the Vanarama National, not just the South and North. Continue now, and we'll get through, and we'll see where we're going to pick up for the next game. Okay, now obviously fans now in this league are there's a lot bigger support. 847 there watched us cruise to that victory. I'll be really interested to see how many fans we have for the St Albans game as it's at home. But I think we'll have a look at a game towards the end of September, I think. I think I like the look of this Margate fixture. I like Margate, why not? It'll give us a chance to see the stadium, see Griffin Park, because obviously everyone wants to see Griffin Park. So yeah, I think we'll come back for that. So that'll do it for this episode, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, please leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more. Follow me on Twitter at DLCDave1. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.